Well, uh, what I will speak is based on this book, Philosophical Semantics, uh, Reintegrating Theoretical Philosophy. The cover is very beautiful, but the content is wonderful. Merveilleux, wunderbar. Something very, very surprising in a time of a very poor and superficial philosophy like ours. And it solves, it gives a final solution to Hume's problem of induction, the real final solution. And it is simple, like all the genial ideas. Well, Appendix 2, Chapter 5, the only key to solving the human problem of induction. I will first read a quotation. It would be impossible to say truly that the universe is a chaos, since if the universe were genuinely chaotic, there could not be a language to tell it. A language depends on things and qualities having enough persistence in time to be identified by words, and this same persistence is a form of uniformity. This is from Teichmann and Evans. Is a linguistic way to put in a summarized way what I will develop here. First point will be the formulating of the human argument, or reformulation, so strong as possible. Well, according to Hume, our inductive inferences require support by metaphysical principles of uniformity of nature. Although induction can move not only from the past to the future, but also from the future to the past, and from one spatial region to another, for the sake of simplicity, I will limit myself here to the first case. A human principle of uniformity from the past to the future can be stated as PF. This will be the name of our principle. PF. The future will resemble the past, its past. If the principle is true, it ensures the truth of inductive inferences from the past to the future. Consider the following very simple example of an inductive argument justifying the implicit introduction of PF as a first premise. 1. First, the future will resemble the past, PF. The second is the sun has always risen in the past. Third, hence, the sun will rise tomorrow. This seems at first glance a natural way to justify the inference according to which if the sun rose every morning in the past, it will also rise tomorrow, and an inference which could be extended as a generalization. The sun will always rise in the future. We make these inferences because we unconsciously believe that the future will be like the past. Here was Hume correct. It is at this point that the problem of induction begins to delineate itself. It starts with the observation that the first premise of the argument, a formulation of the principle of uniformity of nature, from the past to the future is not a truth of reason characterized by the inconsistency of its negation. One could say it is not an analytic thought content. According to Hume, it is perfectly imaginable that the future could be very different from the past. For instance, he says that the future trees could bloom in the deeps of winter, and snow taste like salt and burn like fire. We can still try to ground our certainty that the future will resemble the past on the past permanence of uniformities, and once this past permanence that once belonged to the future, that is, on past futures. This is the inference that at first glance seems to justify PF. 1. Already past futures were always similar to their own pasts. Conclusion 2. Hence, the future of the present will also resemble its own past. The problem with this inference is that it is also inductive. That is, in order to justify this induction, we need to use PF, the principle that the future will resemble the past, but PF, it says, is the issue. Thus, when we try to justify PF, we need to appeal once more to induction, which will require PF again. Consequently, the above justification is circular. From similar considerations, Hume concluded that induction cannot be rationally justified. The consequences are devastating. There is no rational justification either for expectations created by the laws of empirical science or for our own expectations of everyday life, since both are grounded on induction. We have no reason to believe that the floor will not sink under us when we take our next step. It's true that we are almost always willing to believe in our inductive inferences, but for Hume, this disposition is only due to our psychological constitution. We are by nature inclined to acquire a habit of having inductive expectations. Once we form these expectations, they force us to obey them almost like moths flying towards bright light. This is an extremely skeptical conclusion, and it's not without reason that only few philosophers have accepted Hume's conclusion. Most think that something somewhere must be wrong. So, this is the first part.